showed Gary Anderson. The exit door here at Barnsley Metrodome. Coming next, it's another new kid, a new talent, a man who's recently won a challenge to a title in Cam Crabtree. He takes on the old master, the old world master, no less, John O'Shea, who reached a final on the floor around this time last year. I'm Chris Murphy, Glenn Durrant still with me. Some decent darts so far, Glenn.
Yeah, I've got to say that first game will sort of live in the memory as the first one I've sort of commentated on, and wow, did it deliver. Josh Rock just seems to be getting better and better, and the success of Josh Rock is partly to do with the guy in your picture there, John O'Shea. They've just become bosom buddies and they really bounce off each other. Another clean living, good looking young lad up here, Cameron Crabtree. It's experience versus inexperience, and he'd be relishing this opportunity to play in these Players' Championships. The experience that you're going to get, just to let you know. But isn't it great for the game to see these young lads coming through now? And I've been looking forward to seeing the lad. He's had a 9-darter on the Challenge Tour, and as Chris alluded to, also Challenge Tour win, and they're tough to win. So 50-50 game, this one for me.
100.
It does seem like a level-headed young chap when I've spoken to him, Cam Crabtree, but he'll be, of course, wanting to make the most of his opportunity.
94.
And getting to fill in.
Shanghai on 20s. So that's not too bad of a dart the way that one's sitting.
60.
And they are 3 well-thrown darts, and the frustration is heightened because, once they gain the difference, it'd be hurt even more if this double 16 goes in, and he absolutely pings it with aplomb. A fabulous start from Crabtree. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
58.
And the Joker is just peppering them trebles there. And what you need to do with experience is just realise I'm throwing well, and all of a sudden them millimetre misses will just trickle into the trebles, but he'll want a treble visit here for sure.
Now, Crabtree, when he won that Challenge Tour in Milton Keynes at the end of last month, he actually defied an average of more than 103 from Owen Bates in the final of that.
140.
Really stood up to the barrage of brilliance that was being thrown at him by Bates, who actually will be here tomorrow.
100.
Yes, I've been very impressed with Owen Bates, a guy who barely winning a game on the Challenge Tour and the Development Tour, sorry, when I was watching him a season or two back.
85.
And now he's absolutely flying, and looking forward to seeing him play tomorrow.
Just to put you up to date on what's happened so far, we have lost 3 of the top 16 seeds. Damon Heta going down 6-3 to Ross Smith. Maybe no huge surprise there with
140.
Smith in such good form of late. What a draw to get. Dimitri Vandenberg beat, and this is a bit of a standout result, by Bradley Brooks, a former World Youth Champion, and Dirk van Dijvenbode are also going down 6-4 against Connor Scott.
Yeah, I do like Connor Scott. There's a guy who really puts the work in, but that's a surprise to me for Deborah. It's no surprise to me to see Cameron Crabtree pinging these doubles, and as he stares at the board, and if you're ever wondering what he's doing, that's the self-motivate. And there's the exhaler breath. He is feeling wonderful about himself right now, and that's a good dart from the way they sit, Chris. They just sort of, for a lot of players, that first one under the treble 20 can be a real blocker. Because they sit so now, it's not so good for John, so you might see him go down. So it's a sort of a clash of the way the darts sort of enter the board with these two.
He's got that sort of golden ticket, hasn't he, Crabtree, by finishing so high up after the first set of events in the Challenge Tour Order of Merit. Of course, played in Barnsley last week. Had a good run on the Saturday as well to the last 32. His board final where he was beaten by Dirk van Dijvenbode, but heavily beat Maders Razmar in the previous round, and also got past a Jan van Veen, who we saw, of course, reach a final on the Pro Tour last year.
Another exciting talent. I practiced behind Jan van Veen in one of the Pro Tours last year, and my God, he was absolutely outstanding. Seriously, I mean, I was like, who is this guy? Right now, Crabtree, now that's not ideal for him, but he just sort of understacks that
140.
What a dart that is. This guy's got everything. The way his finishing's been going so far, he'd be licking his lips at this 74.
100.
John O'Shea in a spot of bother here, certainly if this goes. Treble 14, the first port of call, and he's found it, no problem. Double 16, what a finish. 74 to go with the 76 earlier in the match. This is absolutely superb from Cameron Crabtree.
Arras lad, as you would say. in Teesside. This is a fabulous debut for him here. Young Crabtree. Heard lots of good things about him. I like to look at him. He just looks exactly 100. What the game is all about now. There's so much money in the game, the professional of darts right now, but its talent just doesn't reach you to the top. It's all about the work ethic. It's all about the determination, the resilience. It's not just a case of getting up there against these guys. You've got to be at 100%. And you know, this guy practices really hard. He's got aspirations and dreams of going big, and what I'm seeing so far ticks every single box.
Yeah, I love the pace of this game as well. Really rattling on, just like the first one between Anderson and Rock.
I'll be home for 2 o'clock the way this has gone through, is it?
40.
Well, if the standard and the speed is at like this on every board, then it will be quickly done.
John O'Shea always reminds 84. Me of me winning, I thought it was my first Lakeside, and then going to the Scottish Open, which is today. And I played John O'Shea in the prelim, last 1024.
83.
Big crowd around, and I absolutely bottled it, and he destroyed me.
Some game to get at that stage of a tournament, mind, isn't it? Most people would have been drawing someone as good as me. Totally
different. Well, I did. I had many of them. That's for sure. But John O'Shea on 72 coming up here, and that's something that Cameron Crabtree has finished with absolute aplomb. John O'Shea, how is your finishing? That's not a great start. So you'll be looking at treble 70 for double 8.
Game shot.
And this is just a masterclass of wonderful finishing from the two players. And that could be the difference between these two guys, because that is outstanding there from the Joker. And he's up and running.
Yeah, it was probably a must as well for John O'Shea, that. If Crabtree had won that leg, then you'd think it would be as good as game over.
Yeah, it would have been a second breaker throw, wouldn't it? So
134.
Still very much in Crabtree, but you can also see just with them 3 darts now that John O'Shea is feeling a little bit better about himself.
Just to quickly update you what's going on elsewhere, or what's gone on elsewhere. Wins in the opening round for Luke Humphrey, 6-1 against Rusty Jake Rodriguez. Andrew Gilding, 6-3 against Chris Landman. Gerwyn Price, a 6-2 winner against fellow Welshman Callum Goffin. Ryan Searle, winning on Saturday last weekend, has beaten Florian Hempel, 6-3. Same scoreline for Nathan Aspinall in his victory against Cameron Menzies. Martin Schindler, the German, winning 6-1 against
95.
Ryan Meikle. All those results in the top half of the draw. We'll come to the bottom half after this leg.
Yeah, the finish has been absolutely fantastic. So you have to fancy this bull.
99.
We're seeing an awful lot, but the difference is just millimetres. It's just that 25, but what a 147 this would be from John O'Shea.
111.
Would have been the snooker shot, wouldn't it? The 147 break.
And you've seen this so far, and this is what I say to so many of the young players. 25 finish.
Game shot.
If you ever wonder how some of the professionals sort of prepare on a morning, Dimitri Vandenberg and Damon Hector will also go to a board, and it's first to 25 finishes, because so many times you will need that. A 25 finish, 48 and 56, them types of 2 dart combinations, and he has been absolutely first class, first rate is this boy. What an outstanding performance so far.
Well, that's the first max of the match, but John O'Shea's got no choice but to match him, because if Cameron Crabtree gets to a double, he's hitting it. Simple as that. Into the bottom half of the draw. Ross Smith, I mentioned, beat Damon Hector. You mentioned, Glenn, that Jose de Sousa got that win against James Wilson. Also a win for last Sunday's winner, Danny Knopp, at 6-2 against Josh Payne on the other streaming board. Joe Cullen did complete the job against Sean Wilkinson, 6-2. Rob Cross just coming through, 6-5 against Karol Sedlacek. And Johnny Clayton, a 6-1 winner over Keegan Brown.
Yeah, it's great to see players like Christian Kist. Certainly with my problems I've had, for him to be bouncing back does give me hope.
51.
It's lovely because he's had his real problems, as Crabtree's done absolutely everything in this game. Surely a 170. Wow, did I fancy 98. That. But sets it up nicely and puts this pressure. One thing about the 86, it is a 2 dart combination, but he will be using the bull. I don't think he'll be too aggressive with the treble. He did.
48.
But he misses both the outer ring and the bullseye. Oh, 72 has just been his forte so far in this match. And double 12.
Oh, he 66. Can miss. He has missed.
He's human.
Now John O'Shea has a choice whether to split or hit. Tries to hit, misses, makes it more difficult for himself and has one last chance and can't find it. So Cameron Crabtree to break again and lead 5-1.
Great players hit double three for the Lakeside title, that's for sure. And the way that sits for him, that is not a bad dart still.
No score.
He'll find, I think, once again, when the alignment of his hand there, when that let go, I think he fancied that. And John O'Shea went straight for double 19 last time. He's going all the way to double 7.
Game shot.
And this game where darts were absolutely going in, all of a sudden you've got a little bit scruffy there, and it's John O'Shea, whose experience showed to get through, which could be a decisive leg. It was just a breaker throw.
29.
And if he's going to have aspirations of winning this match, he needs to break him, and you feel he needs to break him now.
140.
He's in that sort of situation, isn't he, where he's just treading water in this game, John O'Shea. 2 behind his opponent, but his opponent is 2 away from the win.
I'll tell you what I am thinking though, Cameron, you know, he's come here today, he's probably really excited, and when that adrenaline is going so far, them early legs, they're really easy because you're so excited. And now all of a sudden we probably know a little bit more about him now, especially with John beginning to find his game. And this
92.
match isn't over by a long, long stretch. And John O'Shea is banging this game, but not with darts like that.
85.
And dart players do like a mutter and a chat. What a dart that is for young Crabtree. He'll just sit there on top.
100.
And he'll be disappointed, and hence the little mouth movement there, because that first dart was absolutely perfect for him, just as that is for O'Shea. What a setup that is, and that makes this 116 very, very tricky.
But he wasn't missing much, but he started missing in the previous leg. 1 dart.
96.
And that is a big, big pull. Just wonder, and maybe Glenn Durrant alongside me will be a good man to make an educated guess whether approaching the finish line is starting to affect Cameron Crabtree.
I just felt that dart was a little rushed. I say Richard Ashdown always said to me, run through the winning line. I just feel he got a little bit excited there, and I'm not saying turn into Rob Cross or anything like that, but I just think a little bit of composure on that top spot sometimes when you're in that rhythm for someone like Cameron. But it's worth getting on the practice board for Crabtree and practicing them 116 finishes, the 117s, the 112s, and just standing off on that last dart for that winning double, and just see what works for you.
100.
I have to say, Murph, O'Shea is one of my favourite players, and it's just great to see him playing really, really well, and it's so tight-knit with him and Josh Rock, and that'll be an interesting match if they play each other next, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure you've got your friends and foes on the tour, but is it that you'd rather play the foes than the friends?
Yeah, playing a friend's really tough. Give me the fours of Chris Dolby anytime.
92.
I think one of my hardest games was playing Jamie Hughes and Jim Williams at Lakeside stage. But these guys, honestly, they're so professional now. They'll know exactly what they need to do, and it's business when they get up there. Sometimes you don't even know who you're playing, honestly.
Well, he's using his experience here, John O'Shea, to work his way back into the match. He's punished the mistakes that Cameron has made towards the back end, and now it's O'Shea who seems to be finishing flawlessly. It's another 70-something finish. We've had a plethora of those in the 8 legs we've seen in this game.
58. $80.
You do sometimes think as well, you know, the challenge to a slightly shorter format. First to 5 in the latter stages. He played on the Motor Super Series recently as well, first to 4. Whether, you know, just keeping it together for 59. What could be 11 legs is posing a bit of a problem, because his standard has dropped somewhat in the last couple.
Yeah, he'll have been walking on water them first few legs, the excitement of being here and everything. So, but you learn so much more in sort of adversity as well. He'll learn an awful lot. If he'd have just ran through your 6-1, he'd be thinking, because right now he can sort of he can evaluate and self-reflect of what really happened between 4-1 to 4 each. He hasn't done an awful lot wrong. Like I said, when you're playing against the best players in the world, if you're not 100%, you know, you'll be punished. I'm just watching a game there, because Ronnie Hybrids this year has played 4, lost 4, but had the higher average in every single game he's played. This time he's had the lower average against Brian Roman, but he's just gone 5-4 down. I had a
94.
sneaky feeling he was going to win that game there with a lower average.
Well, this game has seen a tungsten turnaround. Cameron Crabtree led it 3-0 and 4-1. Is he about to go 5-4 down?
Well, if he is, he's going down fighting, because that was some response there. And he misses the treble 17. Now 95 has got a couple of options here. The younger players seem to be so much more aggressive than I did in my day. Hence the reason he's gone for the treble. It doesn't guarantee a dart or a double or a bullseye.
55.
I favour going with the bullseye first dart there. And for O'Shea, doesn't move across the hockey there, but that is a big dart, that
Aim shot.
That's like a javelin that he's thrown, and to see that tops go in there, hence the fist pump. And that's just to get yourselves going, and that's what John needs. And people say, what's Gerwin Price like, Glenn? I said, well, you know, these players, the fist pump, they're motivating themselves, because that's what gets the sportsman, and that's what gets the best out of him. And John O'Shea needs that adrenaline going through his body to play his best game, and hence the reason that's what he does when a double goes in.
And didn't let his head drop, did he, when he did trail by 3 legs on a couple of occasions in this match. You mentioned Cameron Crabtree might have been walking on water for the first 5 legs of the game, but
60.
He'll now certainly be getting that sinking feeling.
And that dart just above the treble
57.
It's not as conducive for his big scoring than just below, and that is absolutely perfect for O'Shea. I expect a max.
177.
And the reason he didn't go for the max, he possibly thought, I can only leave 162 here, and sometimes, even without realising that, you're not going to get on a finish even with the treble 17. But what a setup play there for John O'Shea. Absolute kudos. He showed real resilience in this game. Wonderful.
Yeah, top darting defiance from the Joker, who looks like he's going to have the last laugh. 13 darter to win it.
No, Cameron Crabtree has played very, very well. All respect to John O'Shea as he looks at this tops.
30.
He fancied that double 5 there. And that's a bit of a disappointment. It's still a big ask for Crabtree, and John O'Shea will just be composing himself behind.
Yeah, we're not going to get
58.
the last twist unless it is involving more missed darts at double for John O'Shea.
6.
And it's all got a little bit scruffy. And Cameron Crabtree, exhale of breath. And you might see the bullseye, which hasn't been it, but it's double 15 this time. And he could barely miss a double at the beginning.
82.
And it's just got a little bit scruffy here, but these are still worth a game for John O'Shea. You know, it's not a bad dart.
Game shot and the match.
Second dart was actually not too bad as he followed up there. In a game where Cameron Crabtree came out the traps like a greyhound. He'll see the positives and he'll self-reflect the negatives. But John O'Shea's experience, he didn't give up. He demonstrated real resilience at 4-1 down and began to really play his A game. And he's just talking to himself there, getting himself, as we look at the stats coming up, the 4 from 12, Cameron Crabtree early doors was on 100%. John O'Shea still got work to do on his doubles, and a very acceptable 90.79 average for Cameron Crabtree, but it's John O'Shea who takes on his good friend, his best friend in Josh Rock, and that'll be a game where they'll be both relishing. But a fantastic start for John O'Shea. For Cameron Crabtree, he'll look back at where did it go wrong from 4-1. And next up, we'll have Krzysztof Ratajski against Richie Bennett, one not to be missed.